Martin E. Lee is the co-author with Matthew Fleury of Bloody Lane. Kirkus Review describes Bloody Lane as a slow-building murder tale, but the complicated hero and serpentine wrap-up make it a worthy mystery. The main character, Felix Alabin, is a haunted man, haunted by the memory of his wife, gunned down in a mugging gone awry, haunted by his responsibilities as a single father of a teenage girl, and as Bloody Lane opens, haunted by the murder of Curtis Gwen, an ex-cop whom Alabin had known when both served in the Baltimore Police Department. Gwen is found dressed in the uniform of a Civil War reenactor on the hallowed grounds of the Antietam battlefield, shot through the head. Alabin is a special investigator with the Department of Justice. He has been summoned by a shadowy official in Washington to get to the bottom of the crime.
Chapter 45. A steady rain was falling on Sharpsburg when Alabin finally finished negotiating the battlefield traffic and reached the Mason Greer campaign RV. It was parked along the main street just a few blocks past the road to the visitor center. Wick Mallory stood beneath the canvas overhang attached to the RV's side, the Mason Greer, the man for our time side, facing the street. Alabin pulled into a space next to the sheriff's red and white cruiser, which was tucked next to a polished black Lincoln Town car. No sign of a Range Rover with Kentucky plates. He slid his hand over the cruiser's hood as he walked past. Still warm. "Any news?" Mallory asked. Alabin shook his head. "She's asleep now. The doctors say she'll survive." Mallory looked grim. A delicate beading of perspiration had formed on his forehead, just below his hairline. "Mason's on the phone," he said, then turned to lead Alabin up and into the RV. They stepped in. Mallory dutifully wiped his boots on a mat just inside the threshold, and Alabin followed suit. Mason Greer was the RV's only occupant. His back was to them. A cell phone was pressed to his ear. Alabin quickly took in the room. A desk, sofa and chairs, 2 television monitors, 3 laptops, one of them resting on the couch. A sideboard stood to the right of the entrance. On it, a cluster of framed photos, a tray of liquors, and a wooden humidor, the exact duplicate of the one in the Fish and Game Club. Greer had not spoken. When he turned, his face radiated vexation. He looked like a man with much on his mind and little at hand to relieve it. He set the phone on the desk. "She's resting. That's all I can get out of them," she said. "The doctors told Felix she'd be okay," Mallory commented. "Have you spoken with your brother-in-law?" Alabin asked. "Yeah," Greer replied. "He's already been to the hospital. My nephew, too. Pretty shook up, the 2 of them." He looked at Mallory. "No point waiting," he said. "Let's get going. You in the lead, Wick. We'll get there quicker." He took a few steps toward the door, but stopped when Alabin failed to budge. "Where's your wife?" Alabin asked. "She's at a luncheon, battlefield preservation. Why do you ask?" "And your daughter?" "With her mother. Is that okay with you?" Greer turned to Mallory. "What's with your friend, Wick?" He didn't wait for an answer. "My sister's laying in a hospital bed and he's taking attendance?" Once again he stepped toward the door, and once again Alabin stood his ground. "This is no game, Greer, and you're not going anywhere. Not yet." "Felix, you sure you know what you're doing?" Mallory asked. Greer retreated to the desk, perched on a corner. "What were you talking with Pamela about, Alabin? Did she run off at the mouth like she does sometimes? She's liable to say anything. Obviously, she's not the most stable person in the world, and she's just had quite a scare. We'll get her through this, though. Patch her up, and then we'll see she gets the insides of her head treated. Send her someplace to dry out, someplace quiet, which is what we should have done years ago. I'm as much to blame as anyone," he added contritely. Alabin laughed at this. "What the hell's so funny? I've known some real heels, Greer, but none of them can hold a candle to you. Put her someplace quiet? Yeah, getting T-boned will do that." Greer bridled. "I don't have to take this from you. Throw him out, Wick." Mallory cast an exasperated glance at Alabin. "We've got to get to the hospital, Felix," he warned. "There's no time for this now. If you have business with Mason, you can take it up with him later. Come on, let's go."